guys, so when I was replacing the lights in the binnacle with LEDs and testing everything out, I couldn't get the oil lamp to come on. It's supposed to come on for a few seconds when you first put the key in the ignition and turn it to the accessory mode. I couldn't get that to work. I swapped the bulb out with another one. I rotated the polarity. I tested it in other slots. I confirmed that the bulb itself was working and that it was rotated the correct way by putting it in the emergency brake slot. Went ahead and just put the binnacle back on, trusting that it was in the right place. And troubleshoot this with Chris Miles, who's super helpful. He said to go ahead and check the actual the sending unit in the wire, which is back here underneath the catalytic converter, to see if that was gone bad. So I went and looked, and sure enough, the wire was hanging loose and was completely devoid of any covering or insulation. It was just bare wire. It had been fried, it had been frayed. It looks like it had never worked. It hasn't worked in a really long time. So we're gonna try to fix that today. So I'm gonna hop underneath the car real quick and show you guys where this is, just in case this happens to you. So underneath driver's side, you don't need to lift the car up or anything, but if you come right, here's the exhaust pipe, and go right under here where the catalytic converter is, and you can see right there is the fuel light, I'm sorry, the oil lamp sending switch. And this wire here was hanging loose like this, and you can see by the condition of this that there's no way that that's going to work. So I'm hoping that the switch is still okay. He's going to send me a switch anyway. I may or may not need to replace that. If I don't need to replace it, I'll probably still go ahead and replace it anyway the next time I change my oil, because it is going to drop oil everywhere. It's leaking oil down here somewhere. I got to figure out where that's coming from. That's a whole other issue. But we're going to try to get this taken care of now. And it looks like it's just kind of routed down here behind this pulley. So I'm going to try to see if I can get that up and replace this wire. So we're going to do that today. Okay, from the engine, if you look straight down here, you can actually see that wire hanging loose. And it looks like it's just, is it this guy right here? Yep, that's it. So I'm gonna very carefully check and see where this is routed. So I got this pulley here for the belt, and it looks like it's just going right behind that. Okay, so if I just gently pull, is that connected to anything else or routed anywhere else? I don't think so. It's just straight down there. Okay. So all we got to do is make sure that when you put this back, it's going to go right here behind this pulley, underneath this bolt. So I'm going to carefully pull that out. Yep. And that's what we were dealing with here. So that's a pretty good indicator of why the oil lamp isn't working. So I'm going to now route this back through here. So underneath this, back down, that should give us plenty of work room. So I'm going to cut this off and replace it with a new wire that is of the same length and a new clip or a new spade connector. Yikes, that's nasty. And test it and see if we can get that thing to work. Hopefully that's all it is. If it's this and the switch, then I'll have to wait until I just had my oil changed, so I don't want to dump all the oil out or have that leak everywhere just to change that switch out. Okay, so for this job I'm going to need a pair of dikes or wire snips, some 16 gauge wire, seems to be close enough to what was already on there, spade connector. I usually use heat shrink kind, I like them. Some kind of way to connect this wire splice, either soldering iron or I use these heat shrink solder with the little soldering plugs in the middle. So it makes it easier to just kind of twist the wires together and solder them by using the heat gun. So there's the heat gun. May use some additional heat shrink just in case, and some crimpers. So I'm gonna go cut the original wire, and then we're gonna make a new one. You can see that this thing has been cooked pretty well over the years. This part of the heat shrink is actually really stiff and tight around it, so the further up you get, it's pliable, like heat shrink shielding. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this back about to right here. Everything forward is kind of hard, so I'm going to just give it plenty of room. So I'm going to go right about there. Okay, so now that I've cut the wire, the heat shrink move freely. I'll expose that tip of the wire, and we're going to go ahead and snip that, trim that back a little bit. Okay, to cut our new wire, we're going to make it right around the same length. I'm going to give myself a little bit extra. I don't want it to be too much longer because I don't want it to get snagged or get caught up on anything, but have a little bit of room to work with. Okay. Got a good crimp. Heat gun. Okay, we're going to get a solder seal and connect the wires together. Okay, so I did go ahead and put an extra layer of heat shrink over that connection just to be safe. So the only thing left to do is to reroute this back behind that pulley under that bolt. Okay. Make sure that that's out of the way of everything, and then let's go try to reconnect it, and then I'm going to come back up here and make sure that that's clear of everything. Might need to zip tie it or something to kind of get it out of the way, but we'll see. Okay, this connector's pretty gummed up, so I'm going to some contact cleaner on that. See if I can clean that off a little bit. Okay, I had to clip the heat shrink off of the spade connector because it was preventing this from seating all the way down. So just took a second, but go ahead and connect it. So it's got a little bit of slack. I'm gonna see if I can button that up a little bit so that it's not gonna get caught on anything, and we should be good to test it. So I ended up using a zip tie on this little engine hang point here, just to kind of get that wire up out of the way a little bit. It was literally just an inch or two. That should be it. So let's go test it and see how this goes. All right, here goes. And crap. Okay, it is flickering, so So the light bulb is working, but the light itself is not staying on, so that means the sender switch is probably bad. So it looks like we'll be replacing that sometime soon. At least we got the wire repaired. Well, unfortunately, that's not the outcome I wanted today. We didn't get the issue fixed, but we did make it one step closer to solving the issue. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes. But at the end of the day, I still have a DeLorean, and I get to sit in it and drive in it and enjoy working on it. So that's a win. So even though we didn't fix the problem, we're getting closer, and it's going to get better every time. Talk to you later. Bye.